class. Today we are going to learn about the art and craft and other characteristic features of Harappan civilization. So in this Harappan civilization, what was the kind of art and what kind of craft material were practice or were made by people. See, these art and craft works which were made by people served as a very important evidence to understand the culture and their technology in of Harappans. To understand the technology and the other kind of cultures, the art and craft work that were unearthed or that were available when excavations happened played a very important role. So, what are these art and craft? We will see. So, all the works of Harappan art, including figurines of clay and terracotta, stone and bronze sculpture, seals and beads, are products of skilled craftsmen. See, these craftsmen, whoever are present in those days, so what they used to make, like they made figurines. Figurines means like you take statues with clay. Okay, clay was used as a major material. So it was called terracotta clay. So this terracotta clay is a very soft, refined, reddish color clay, which is available. I know once you make any object out of it, and once it gets dries, this clay will be very hard. So the object made of it also will be very hard. And they made even statues with stones and bronze. So clay was used, terracotta clay was used, stones were used for making their crafts, and bronze, which was a major metal, was also used to make sculptures. And the seals and beads are products of skilled craftsmen. They might have used different resource material like stones, bronze, or clay, and out of it they made seals, certain sculptures, as well as beads. So here you can see this beads kind of structures. So, and also this is another kind of bead which we can see here, which they made with the clay. And a piece of woven cotton was discovered from Mohenjo-daro, and textile impressions were found on several objects. So, what happened was, with regard to craft, in Mohenjo-daro excavations, the archaeologists have found textile impressions. What do you mean by this textile impressions? Suppose if they are weaving cotton, and that the cotton which was weaving or which is being weaved, I know accidentally or after the civilization ended, it might have got pressed on the different clay material or different kind of stones and all, and that stone, suppose you take like this, or this is a kind of clay. Suppose after flooding and all, Mohenjo-daro got drowned, and later this cotton threads and all, what happened? They might have formed certain impressions on this kind of seals or beads. See, you can see here this kind of impressions are here on the material. So that shows that these people are having the skill of weaving cotton. And a piece of woven cotton was also discovered. Okay, woven cotton. See, like this is a spindle, and on this cotton was weaved. So even such thing was found. This shows weaving was an important craft. So majorly people were now having the practice of making cotton clothes. So that was the that was the things that archaeologists have found from the material available. And the Harappans practiced boat making, seal making, and making terracotta articles. Boat making, for toys and all, how children used to play. That shows that yes, these people know how to make boats. And seal making. So seals, how they used for trade and other purposes. So their craft was majorly with this kind of, see, you can see the clay pots here, which were very nice. And the subjects on the seals and terracotta figures includes human beings, animals, and birds. See, whatever objects they have made with clay, They might have made objects with stones, they might have made objects with clay, or they might have made objects with even metals like bronze. But on these objects, they made certain symbols also. Suppose you take pottery and they make symbols of human, also they make symbols of animals, also they make symbols of some birds. Okay, so that shows their interest towards the nature. So they used to paint several kind of things, or they used to imprint several kind of human beings face structures. Also they had this kind of animals and birds. They were also imprinted on the crafts that they made. And these human figurines were shown wearing heavy ornaments and jewelry and elaborate headgear. So the human objects which were found in those days, or the sculptures or the statues which they found, they were having huge ornaments and jewelry. So you can just imagine the bronze dancing girl with the 12 bangles to her right hand, right? So most of the statues are made by these Harappans. They were having heavy ornaments and jewelry. That shows these people are interested towards the many people who are involved in jewelry making and all. And elaborate headgear. So headgear is a kind of hat kind of thing, which the turbans, right now, if you can imagine a Punjabi Sikh, like they tie a headgear on the top of the head. So similarly they also had an elaborate headgear. And inmate objects are mostly common terracotta models of bullock cart and plow. So with terracotta clay, they made bullock carts and plow. And see, these were used like toys by children. And the goldsmiths made jewelry of silver, gold, and precious stones. So as you know that jewelry is very important because the statues which were found were heavily decorated with jewelry. That shows that these people are more interested towards jewelry. So goldsmith which were present in those days, they used silver to make jewelry, gold to make jewelry. Also, they used some precious stones to make jewelry. Harappans produced their own characteristic pottery, which was made glossy and shine. So if you look at this pottery, these pots were very glossy, finishing was very shining. That kind of nature is called glossy nature. And no earthen vessels and pottery. So that means these pots and all were also discovered with, vessels were discovered mostly, kitchen vessels and all, and they were crafted on the potter's wheel. So they made the pots on a wheel and they were crafted. So you might have seen how a pot is made on clay, turning the wheel around, this kind of thing. And they were decorated with black geometrical designs. So if you look at this pot here, the neck of the pot here, you can see some black designs on it, right? So that black designs were geometrical in nature. That means they are not just roughly, mm, you know, they're not just roughly uh, painted on this, but they followed certain measurements in geometrically. They used certain measurements in picturing these pictures on the pots. And the large jars with narrow necks and red pots with black decoration bear evidence of their artistic skill. Mostly, the jars were large and they have long, narrow neck. So you can see the long, narrow neck here. And there were also red pots with black decorations. That shows that how much artistic the people of Harappans were those days. So you can see this spindle fiber, okay, which was obtained in Cote d'Ivoire, which was a place. And now the spindle hole, you can see the cotton thread woven on the spindle, right? So this is about the art and craft of Harappans. So let us now try to understand how was the sculpture of these Harappans. The Harappan artists were skilled sculptors, this you know already. A large number of stone images have been found. So images are objects made of stone have been excavated by several archaeologists in the excavations done in Mohenjo-daro. That shows now these people are more artistic in nature. And among these, the statue of bearded man found in Mohenjo-daro is well known. So you already know this beard man statue, which we have discussed in our previous slides. He was having a shawl and also no a beard man, and also no he was like there was it reflects like an yogi or a saint, right? So this kind of statue was found in Mohenjo-daro, and the bronze statue of a dancing girl found at Mohenjo-daro is another masterpiece. So that Saint Man's statue was made of sandstone and bronze, with using bronze as a metal, they made a dancing girl, which you can see in this picture here. And these are the masterpiece of evidence. These are the masterpiece evidences which will reflect the artistic skills of Harappans. Besides the dancing girl, a number of bronze figures of animals, buffaloes and rams, and some models of carts have been unearthed. So, as I said, they had been, they were having ideas. They made statues of several animals, some toy models they made. All such things revealed their artistic skills. And now they were revealed really in large numbers from the Harappan settlements. They were perhaps used as toys or cult figures. See, most probably these figurines or the small toys, these objects which were made, were used by children for as playing objects or as toys, and are cult figures. What do you mean by these cult figures? So whenever they want to pray, suppose they are natural worshippers, so they worship unicorn. So what they do, they make a toy of unicorn, or they make a statue of unicorn, and they pray that they try to pray. So idol, you can say that the foundations for idol worship have been laid here. Understood? So they made small toys, and the foundations for idol worship also, maybe you can think that it has been laid with Indian scenario here. A large number of male and female figurines have also been found. So a gender difference of sculptures were also discovered here. Figurines means statues or the shapes or structures. The sculptures in metal was done through special lost wax process. In this process, wax figures were covered with a coating of clay. See, you may get doubt. In those days, how do you think these people have melted metals and they have turned them into beautiful statues or figurines? How do you think they might have made? So, what they did was, they made the process that these people followed was lost wax process. What is the name of the process? Lost wax process. In this process, wax figures were covered with a coating of clay. So initially, as wax is a very soft material, they turn that wax into the shape of the object that they want to make. They make an object. Suppose you take the dancing girl here. They make dancing girl with clay. So they make, because clay is a very soft material and it can turn to whatever way it can. So they'll make an object or a small figurine with the clay, sorry, with the wax. And later, after making a wax object, they cover that wax object with a coating of clay. So the terracotta clay or whatever the clay, they cover it that wax object. Then the wax was melted by heating, and the hollow mold thus created was filled with molten metal. So see here, consider that this is the mold, okay, and they keep this object here covered with clay, and what they'll do, they'll heat the material from down, and once they heat the material, all the wax which is here will get melted off, and this clay will take the shape of the object, right? Now suppose this is the object, the clay will take the shape of the object because the molten wax will get away, and the clay which is covered, it will take the shape, and inside there will be hollow space. Now what they do, they pour the melted metal. As you know, see now even though you heat, Even though melted metal is poured, nothing will happen to clay. So in that hollow space, they pour the melted metal. And now this metal will go into this mold. This is called mold. This hollow space is called mold. And it takes the shape which is present in, which is made with the clay now, which is left with clay actually now. So thus they make objects with a original way. And this is called lost wax process. Coming to the kinds of ornaments that these people have worn those days. See, ornaments were worn by both men and women. So both men and women had the habit of wearing ornaments. Some of the common ornaments were necklace, finger rings, bangles. So I don't think so. I need to explain this. They're all very familiar to you. Armlets, anklets. So armlets, they were completely to the arms and all, and anklets, and the nose rings, fan-shaped headdress, and earrings. So these are the kinds. So this is a kind of things, headdress we call fan-shaped headdress. So they tie just like to their head here, round, and this is a kind of a peculiar kind of ornament they made in those days. And the remaining things, bangles, earrings, and many such things. And they made these kind of objects with gold, silver, precious stones, and ivory. So ivory means, so it is made up of a teeth of the uh, teeth material of an animal. Okay, so those days we are not sure that whether they were using an elephants and all, but elephant ivory and all, but they had the concept of using some large bones which were made of, which were later turned into beautiful ornaments. And toys and amusements. People played games and had many other forms of entertainment. So those days people had certain kind of games and they had forms of entertainment too, and they played dice. So you know the dice, right? So with the one, here having numbers on it, I know they play the dice game. And hunting and fishing were their past, free time things. They used to go for hunting, fishing for the purpose of recreation and all. And the main musical instruments were the drum and the lyre. So they also made these toys, where drums and other instruments were observed, and toys of birds, animals, figurines, cards, and whistles. You can see this, which were kept in museum. So the cards, the toys made by. So you can see Mother Goddess here, and you can see the bullock carts made here, which were used as toys. Maybe these figurines, Mother Goddess figurine and all, they might be used as cult figures or to praying purpose and all. And you can see the jewelry, with different kinds of jewelry in this picture. So this is about the ornaments and the toys and amusements of Harappans. So coming to the end of the chapter, how such a great civilization declined. So at one fine time, this particular great civilization with many advanced and with many magnificent characters finally got declined. It got perished off. Why suddenly such a great civilization got declined? That we will learn now. The Harappan civilization declined sometime around 1800 BC, and some of the likely causes for the decline are following. So around 1800 BC, the civilization completely went off. There are no evidences available after this time period to the archaeologists. See, you may get doubt, how do they exactly know that this particular time the civilization got declined? Because the objects which were found, they do a process called carbon dating. And so in that process called carbon dating, they understand what was the half-life period or what was the lifespan of that particular object and all. And after a particular period, there were no evidences available, and then archaeologists thought that might be the end of that great civilization. There are many reasons for it. Among that, the first reason is floods and earthquakes. So some scholars felt that natural disasters were responsible for decline of civilization, like the floods in Mohenjo-daro led to the abandonment of this settlement. So there was continuously floods in Mohenjo-daro, I mean the river. So Mohenjo-daro is on the banks of, I see all the sites are on the banks of Indus River, but Indus has several tributaries. So Mohenjo-daro is on the tributary of Ravi River, which is a which is a tributary to Indus River. So this Mohenjo-daro was flooded almost many times, 7 times. So people finally got vexed up with this settlement and they left that area. So that's how the civilization started declining. They have inferred this from the fact that the houses and streets at Mohenjo-daro were found covered with silty clay left by the flood waters, which has submerged the streets and houses. Suppose you look, this is a house which is collapsed. Consider that this is Mohenjo-daro and the house has collapsed. Now, there was a silt clay deposited on these walls. Lot and lot of layers of silt clay was deposited. That made people to see silt clay is a clay which is available generally in the river water. Unless this river water flooded these areas and I mean drowned all these streets and houses, there won't be a chance of silt clay getting deposited on these houses and walls. But when the archaeologists observed the silt clay on different layers, then they assumed that yes, the floods have destroyed this civilization. The people of Mohenjo-daro again built up houses and streets on the top of the debris of the previous buildings. So every time a flood comes, it drowns away all the streets and houses and it creates a mesh there. So all the debris, that means whatever has been collapsed, it becomes flat and gets settles. And every and now later what people after the floods got reduced, people come back again and they will start building again houses on that. This kind of several layers of building the city has been noticed by archaeologists when they made excavations. That shows that floods have contributed in a major way for the decline of this civilization. But a time came when the impoverished Harappas at Mohenjo-daro could not take it anymore, simply abandoned the settlement. You may get doubt why this many times floods used to come. Of course, due to rainwater and all, but also there was an assumption that due to frequent tectonic plate movements and earthquakes in this area, there were frequent floods in the rivers also. I mean the river also. So this river water rose to such a high level. See, you already studied that they constructed city, not upper town and lower town. Upper town, even though it is constructed at such a high elevated area, how do you think it got drowned? The reason is due to this tectonic plate activity and or you call it as earthquakes, these flood waters have risen to a very enormous level and they have flooded the city. So finally, people abandoned this area to settle. I know they have moved on to different areas. So, according to the famous hydrologist Aurel Rakes, such flooding could not be the result of normal flooding in the river Indus. Earthquakes might have raised the level of floodplains of the Indus River. This uplift of the plain of Indus blocked the passage of river to sea, and the rising water levels of the river led to the inundation of hinterland of Mohenjo-daro. See, there was a hydrologist by name Aurel Rakes, and he understood the decline in a different way. So, as per the evidences, like the silty clay on this thing, how did these levels rise? As I said, earthquakes might have raised the level of floodplains. This is the general flow of Indus River. This is the original picture of River Indus, which you can see where the river water even today it is flowing like this, and you can see this silt clay and all here. What happens if there is an earthquake here? The river water suddenly rise and all this material will collapse, right? And it forms as a block. And what happens when it forms as a block? This river water could not freely go and join the sea. When it cannot go and join the sea, it tries to drown the lower areas. So here the same thing happened. So it went and drowned all the river settlements whichever are present. And increased aridity of the soil. According to the renowned historians D.P. Agarwal and Sood, the Harappan civilization declined because increasing aridity in the area and the drying up of river Ghaggar. So this region, the Harappan area and the Harappan civilization region experienced aridity, means the soil became so dry. I know it has become cracky, and know it has become slow. You can imagine like when drought and all are there, the soil becomes very dry without moisture and cracks happen. And because increase and of that kind of lack of moisture in the soil made, I know, see, when the river is there with full water, definitely the soil around it, around some kilometers, it will be very moist. But when the river Gaggar dried up, okay, so what happened? The soil around that river became very dry. So when the land also slowly started losing its moisture and the soil became very inefficient there. So this also had a reason for people to leave that settlement. Satluj and Yamuna used to be the tributaries of the river Ghaggar, and because of some tectonic disturbances, Satluj stream was captured by Indus River, and Yamuna shifted to Caste to join the Ganges. This change left the Ghaggar waterless. The ecological disturbance caused by increased aridity and shift in drainage pattern led to the decline of civilization. For example, you take the river is flowing here. For example, you take the river is flowing here like this, and now due to the tectonic disturbances, due to earthquakes and other tectonic plate movements, Sutlej, which was stream, was captured by Indus River, and the other Yamuna River, it went to the eastwards. You can call this Yamuna, and it went towards east, and Yamuna River joined Ganges. Now, Ghaggar, which was a river, major river for because of these two tributaries. So the two tributaries of Ghaggar River, one joined to the Indus. This is Ghaggar River, and due to tectonic disturbances, Ghaggar River has two tributaries, and one tributary joined Indus, and another tributary joined Ganga or Ganges. So the Ghaggar River became dry, and the area around the Ghaggar River also became arid, and it slowly ecologically it lost its potential for people to live and develop crops and other kind of things. Hence, it also led to the decline of civilization. So deforestation. The other reason was cutting down of forest. Since Indus Valley was a Bronze Age culture, enormous quantity of wood was needed to produce bronze. So as I said, they used to make metals, objects out of it, jewelry out of it. What they started doing, they started making use of bronze more and more. To melt the bronze, they require high temperatures. Produce that high temperatures, what the people did, they cut down a lot of trees and they used that firewood to produce high temperatures and to make bronze objects, which led to deforestation in that area. And wood was also needed to produce jewelry, to bake bricks, pottery, stoneware, and to make boats and furniture. So for several purposes, the people living around this Harappan area, they cut down the forest more and more, and this could have led to climatic change in the region, and there was a lot of ecological imbalance that resulted in people leaving this area and going to some other places. So you can see the soil becoming arid here, and due to deforestation and other reasons also, rainfall became very less, and now people have slowly started leaving the settlements. And there is a very other peculiar reason that some historians like Mortimer, they believed that Aryans destroyed the Indus settlements. So certain historians like Mortimer, with some proof, not just general, they assumed that there was a expedition of Aryans from the Central Asia to this region. You can see this picture. This is the way through which the Aryans have traveled, and this is actually the way they have adapted. There are some evidences to establish this. And because of the travel of Aryans, they met, these Aryans came into contact with these people here, and when they met, they had a very severe wars, and in that wars, many people died, and that's the civilization decline. This was an assumption. And Wheeler Mortimer also believed that the last phase of Mohenjo-daro, men, women, and children were massacred in the streets and houses, as is evident from the skeletons of 13 males and females and one child found lying in a room. So this was one particular room, and there were many dead bodies. There were many skeletons of people inside that room. That shows that this was a massacre. See, in a group, why people will die? Unless they are affected with some kind of disease or they might have been killed. In fact, there is evidence, a very strong evidence establishing there was some kind of, you know, injuries on the skulls of these people, the skeletons, which reveals that these people have been massacred. That means mass killings happened. And why do you think mass killings will happen? Maybe there was a war. And who do you think they might have done wars with? These Aryans. So who are these Aryans? They are the Central Asian tribals who arrived in India because they were facing a lot of droughts in the Central Asia. That's a different, altogether different history that we'll see. See, these are all the reasons for the decline of Harappan civilization.